There is something special about just sitting and watching the cork like this. We located this shoreline that had pretty optimal habitat that looked like it'd be good for the fish to come up and spawn. So did our homework and just come, and now just to be able to relax and watch the float and know that's a high percentage confidence area and baits. It's going to be a good rest of the night.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
I love watching that rod load up.
It is so stinking fun. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than fun. I keep saying it's fun, it's fun, it's fun. You know why? Because it is.
So when you get on a pre-spawn bite like this, the concentrations of fish that you can end up landing on is really phenomenal. You know, we're catching fish just every cast right now, but once they start to spawn, there's only so many spots up there on the shoreline for them to be. So, you know, you can pick them off as you go, but when they're out here on the pre-spawn, man, they can get in big groups and really are easy to catch.
Oh, this one feels a little better, Matthew. Man, they're just loaded. So many people get jacked up about fishing crappies when they're up on their nests, which of course is a good time, getting to sight fish and see fish like this hit a bait. And you can see, as dark as this one is, he's getting ready to spawn, but it's not quite spawn time yet. And pre-spawn for any fish can just be dynamite. So these fish right now, I'm guessing this has got some bog, the shoreline, and there's some bulrush, some wood in the water. So they'll come up around here and they'll end up making beds and spawning. But right now it's a sharp drop to the basin. It's got good cabbage, vertical cabbage. I mean, good standing cover in 6 to 8 feet of water. If you find that stuff in the spring, it's a magnet for crappies, it's a magnet for sunnies. It's also great for pike, bass, and walleyes. So look for that kind of stuff. Nice hard bottom on the shoreline, little roll, 6 to 8 feet. It's got good cover, and that's where we're catching the panfish. Not up in the shallow on that first lip and that standing cover. Catching springtime crappies. And what's so great about it is the system, of course, is so darn simple. Typically, it involves a jig, and I love the VMC Moon Eye. If you haven't fished these, you'll fall in love with them. It's got a cool head design. It's that aspirin head, so it's super versatile, but it's also got a dynamite hook for holding on to these things. But then when it comes to the cork side, there's so many different options on what to choose for a cork. So we're going to share with you why certain corks perform better in certain situations. When it comes to floats or corks, there are basically two different styles. One is a slip and one is a clip. Today we're using the classic clip float. This works best when you're fishing sparse submerged cover. We simply clip out a measured amount of line. In this case, the jig is roughly 3 to 4 feet below the float. This allows you to work the bait back and it will stay at that predetermined depth. The slip float, on the other hand, works its best in heavy emergent cover. The compact system lands into tough to reach places and the jig drops directly below the float. Like we said earlier, crappies can be low light feeders, and that's when a lighted bobber comes into play. The VMC lighted float is water activated. This is the perfect slip float for any situation, sun up to sundown.
You know, as a guy that works in a school system as an educator, I know the value of putting in your work. Fishing a cork with my young kids is a great way to introduce kids. You get an opportunity to teach the simple basic mechanics of casting with something that's a little heavier like a cork, and get them into the simple concept of a hook set also, something that you can teach when the bobber starts going down. So bobber fishing is definitely a great way to introduce people to fishing. It was the way I was introduced. I'm sure it was the way Jeremy was introduced to pan fishing as well. So great way to get them.